that, I just want to start the meeting at 6:35. And just go straight to approval of our minutes from our last meeting, which is August 23rd. Can someone make a motion for those minutes?
So moved.
And second? For that? Thank you. It seemed okay to me. Does anyone have anything they want to add, subtract, change?
There we go.
All right, so someone want to make a motion? Wait.
We already did. Take a vote.
So all those in favor of the August 23rd minutes? I'm going to do a roll call because there's people at home. So Latanya,
Yes.
Pam,
Yes.
Jose,
Yes.
Martha Seibert,
Yes.
Suzanne, I'm a yes. Eric,
Yes.
Christina,
Yes.
Max,
Yes. Yes.
Michael McClung.
He's gonna be a yes. He just has to unmute. Sorry, Michael. Got you.
All right, and
There you go. Thank you. Yes.
all right, thank you. So that's unanimous, everyone. That passes, and then we'll just go straight up to the early package.
Okay, I can run through this update. So the early package contract with JR Vinagro is moving along quite well. They have all the erosion controls in place at the perimeter. The construction fencing is completely installed around the perimeter as well, with the gates installed. And they are probably at this point, I would imagine they're probably done putting the scrim on the fencing as well. The scrim is sort of that privacy material that helps control visibility and also controls dust motion as well. And abatement is either complete or very nearly complete of the existing building. All the existing utilities have been capped. JRV coordinated with the fire department to get the fire alarm disconnected. And as of today, we heard from JRV that they do have the demo permit in hand following final sign-offs by the utility. So that's good news. Little correction to this, demo start is actually going to be for early next week, not this week, but completion will still be done by the 15th of October. So the building will come down fairly rapidly, and they'll be separating and recycling all that material and getting it off site. And we're also coordinating with JRV for the contractor walkthrough for the main contract, which will be scheduled for September 21st. So just coordinating with JRV so we have access for the team to do the walkthrough with the prospective bidders for the main contract. And I'll turn it over to Andy for the financials.
So I have here as the dashboard, since the last meeting, as of Friday of last week, the design team completed the 100% drawing and the spec, and we submitted that to the MSBA. So right now, the only thing that's pending is the meeting with the tree warden, and also we're planning to go out to bid starting tomorrow, and we'll have a bidding schedule in the next couple of slides, and I can go into the detail. So I'll pass it over to Max so he can give a quick update about the tree warden.
Sure, thanks, Andy. I actually had a meeting with Gino. Gino is the tree warden, if anyone didn't know. With Gino and the tree committee last week. The tree committee serves as in an advisory role. So they don't actually have jurisdiction. Gino has the jurisdiction as the tree warden, but he does like to let them have a say. So we had a productive meeting. Gino is to be posting the tree hearing this week. It has to run in the newspaper for 2 weeks. So we're anticipating the formal tree hearing to be in about 2 weeks. I don't have the exact date from Gino yet. In the meantime, the tree committee has just sent over tonight to me, and I'll forward it along to the group, a a list of trees that they'd like some additional information on. So trees that they've identified as, at the perimeter and in their eyes with potential to be saved. So we did at the meeting say that, we would pass that along to the design team to provide the reasoning as to why we have called for them to come down. So that will be forthcoming, and the goal being to provide information back to the tree committee and have a productive dialogue with them, and, potentially save some trees that were slated for removal, and then, have the hearing and be done with it and move on. I did make it clear to the tree committee that, the direction of the design team given by the town was to make an effort to save any trees that were viable and native and healthy. So I, did ask them to look at it through that lens, but, inevitably they were gonna ask for some more information on some. So I think it is worthwhile to, see that process through. That's where we are.
Thank you, Matt. So between now to the end of October, we'll be bidding, if we can. That's where we are with the bidding phase. As in cash flow, right now, we're right on budget and a little bit under the cash flow. So for financial, for this month's commitment, David, you want to go to the next slide? So we got the pricing for the third-party testing. That is not ready for review here yet, so we need some more vetting to do. So I have here two quotes from Niche Engineering for some work that the town did for the UU Church data gathering and redevelopment scenario. This was done back in September, so we want to get a commitment for $9,660, another commitment for $1,380. So a total for Niche Engineering is $11,040. There's no budget transfer required. And I should put no up here, sorry. For invoices, this month I have Hill International OPM services for the month of August. This included the full-time site representative for the demolition and abatement of the existing Stanley. This invoice included the two cost estimate with PM&C as sub-consultant for the DD and actually the 60% and the 90%. So we have a total of $126,387.50 for Hill invoice for August. We got LBA invoice number 17341. So there are two propay code. The first one is for the main building project, and this one is for the 100% that they completed, and is for $433,420. And also for Amendment 8 for the existing tree survey that they did for $2,345.75. So the total invoice is for $435,765.75. For the YMCA last month, we talked about having the rent for August and September. So for the August rent for the YMCA swing space is $8,076.68. For September, it's a little bit different based on the lease. It's $8,278.60. And we have an invoice this is the first invoice for JR Vinagro for the abatement. And this is their first application. Their total contract is about $900,000. And this first invoice is for $168,150. Hill and LBA reviewed the requisition. The PESA requisition, we cut back on a lot, and this is the value that we vetted out, and we recommended that amount. We also have Niche Engineering that I mentioned up above for the UU Church data gathering. This is for invoice 74415 for the amount of $9,660. And also another invoice, 75157 for 1,380. And, as I mentioned, niche engineering, there's some background information for part of the UU Church acquisition. And so a total of invoices for this month for acknowledgement is $757,698.53. So all of this are within the budget. The only two commitment are the niche engineering, and they're below 100,000, and work with Martha on that. So all these are acknowledgement. If anybody have any question, please let me know. Thank you. All right, David, you want to go to the next page?
Andy, before we move on, you'd mentioned acknowledgement of that. I think we need to do a vote for acknowledgement of the financials.
We do?
Mike, I thought these are all like within the commitment, and it's I guess the commitment. I don't think anything except for the niche commitment this month, and it's only 11,000. Do we still need to vote?
Well, my understanding is the discussion was that it was always going to be acknowledged by the committee, but maybe I'm wrong.
I don't think
I remember last month we didn't do any vote.
we didn't do it last month either. I think we were just gonna talk about it and then vote for anything that was over 100,000.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah, I think that's, yeah. No, I don't think we need to vote on this.
Okay.
I concur. That's my recollection.
All right, thank you. We're good, then let's move on. Schedule update, as I mentioned, we're still doing abatement. Demolition will start on Monday. We're gonna wrap up the demolition by October 15. Construction document that was completed as of Friday. We got comments back from the MSBA. I know David and I are addressing that right now, from the 90%. So we'll get that into them. So the main contract and the bidding, I put that on the central register, so it will be posted for tomorrow. And then if something changed, we can always cancel it, but we will ask for a vote, after the design team present the what is going to be on the 100%. So bidding period start tomorrow to the end of October 20th. Like David mentioned, that there's a bid walkthrough on the 21st. We're just going to site, so the subcontractor, mostly site guy, general contractor, some mechanical MEP will look at the site for underground plumbing, stuff like that. File submit will be due on October 5th. General contractor bid will be due on October 20th. So the bid will be electronically bid through bid.online. So right now we have the SBC meeting vote to be right after the GC bid is due. So we're looking at October the 24th, I believe, or the 25th on that Monday. And, we want to get the contract together for the notice to proceed to the general contractor on the 26th October. Any question on the bidding phase schedule?
Do you need anybody from the SBC for the bidder walk?
We usually, I think Max, it's good to have Max, the facility guy there, but anybody from the bidding committee is welcome to attend. I'm expecting about 20, 25 people. And we already asked for Negro and they're fine with the walkthrough. We're gonna stay away from the demolition part. And it's gonna be around at 3:30 anyway. They're not gonna do any work. But you're welcome to join.
It's exciting to see who comes to the party.
It's gonna be.
Yeah. No, I just will say that Andy and I have been in lockstep on this. We've had multiple meetings. Like these bids are ready to go and they'll be in the Lynn item tomorrow and they'll be live on Combis and the Central Register. And we look forward to not getting a lot of questions and having a lot of people come to the pre-bid conference.
Good, Martha. Thank you for your help. Another update of the schedule is that we got the project funding agreement from the FSBA executed, so we're good.
That's probably the most important thing. We
So
buried
that
the
is
lead.
most important thing.
Right.
So, working with Martha to get the reimbursement, the next reimbursement in. It's exciting.
Yeah.
All right. Other than that, Mike or David, do you guys have anything to add to the schedule update?
Not from the design team side, Andy. This is pretty comprehensive. This touches on the major activities that'll be coming up shortly.
Yeah, I wanted to thanks David and Lee for all the hard work on the 100%. I know they work day and night on the 100% document. You'll be seeing David still working at like midnight.
Yeah, well, you know, we wanted to obviously get in as much as we possibly could. I can talk a little bit about the process moving forward on the next slide if we're ready to move on from here.
We're ready. Go ahead, David.
All right, let's roll. So just a recap of how we got from 90% to 100%. As Andy mentioned, the team really cranked up the effort to get in as much as we possibly could for the drawings and specifications that'll be released tomorrow for bid. And we took it from 90 to 100% by generating, several additional drawings, details, final coordination between us and all of our consultants to really bring the set together in a very cohesive manner. And we also picked up all of the helpful review comments that we received on the 90% submittal, and that included the MSBA. The Hill team was very instrumental as well. We also got comments from the commissioning agent around their specific interests around the envelope, the building envelope, and the building systems. We also got a structural peer review performed. That's an MSBA requirement to do that. So I can say that the peer reviewer did a good review and came away with just literally like a handful of minor comments. So that was a good reflection on the performance by our structural engineer. And of course, the design team and our consultants, we have our own internal QA/QC reviews and checklists that we go through when we finalize documents. And the drawings and specs will cover all of the necessary disciplines. You can see them here listed. They cover all the site, traffic, structural, architectural, interiors, and the major building systems as well. So it is a truly comprehensive package. We also coordinated quite well, as Andy noted, with Martha and the Hill team around procurement, what we call Division 0 and Division 1 in the specs, which get into the details about the contract and the general requirements of the contract and general requirements of the general contractor to provide to facilitate the construction of the job. And that was all integrated in the specifications. And we do have some additional information that is often generated after the 100% drawings go out. There's as try as we might, there's still additional information that we want to provide to the bidders. So we put together a series of addendum that basically encompass additional drawings, clarifications, some spec clarifications, etc., that we will be releasing to the bidders as well. And they have to acknowledge receipt of those addenda as part of their bid to make sure that they have that they're bidding on the complete package. And based on the schedule that we just went over, as you probably saw, the filed sub bids are due prior to the GC bids by about 2 weeks. And we have to prioritize anything that affects those filed sub bids first for any additional information that we'll get out to them. So that's where we have been and where we're going during the bidding process through the addendum. And I know we provided the 100% drawings and specs to the school building committee as well. So you should have been copied on those links. for those files. And that's the summary. I don't know if anybody has any questions we can discuss.
I have a couple questions. One sort of just basically, how does this bidding process work? Is it just a bid on a price, or do they negotiate the terms of the contract as well? For instance, there's a deadline for completion of the construction of June 24th, 2024. Like, is that fixed? Are we not moving that? Or can someone come in and say, oh, we'll give you a lower bid, but we'll finish it in August, right?
It is fixed. This project is being bid under chapter 149. And we also have liquidated damages on the project. So that fixed date, the substantial completion date, they have to finish it by then, unless they have a change order to extend up the date. But right now, it's fixed.
So Mass General Law doesn't allow for conditional bidding.
Okay.
So it is a,
This is the contract. It's
Yeah,
like you're leaving
and
it
actually,
alone.
it's a thoughtful question. This contract, it's part of the bid document, the contract that the general contractor will sign is part of the bid document, so they know what they're signing on for. And it's not really up for negotiation. We've already vetted it with our attorneys. It's not going to be changed.
And then the next question was the liquidated damages. It's 3,000 a day. Is that does that meet like our cost needs if we have to stay longer someplace else? Like, does that compensate for?
It
what we
does.
need, or is it? Or is it
You don't want to
still-
go too high on liquidated damages because that will inflate the price, because a general contractor is going to be fearful of
Right.
getting hit with that if they do miss a deadline. And we were very thoughtful about where we landed. Max was part of the conversation as well. It's the same that we had with our contract for the demolition of the Stanley School now, was $3,000 a day. It takes into account the rent,
Yeah.
the continued rent
Right.
at Blaney Street, which thankfully the lease does allow for that. The lease has an option to extend in the event, an unforeseen event where the project is delayed for some unforeseen reason. And it also takes into account the additional cost of having Hill International continue as OPM, having LBA continue as the designer if there are delays and the scope becomes extended beyond what their contracted obligation is. So $3,000 we felt was the right number. It's a number that was vetted by Hill and we reviewed and agreed.
And then when it gets to increases in costs of the supply of goods, that's on the risk of the contractor to make the price, is that right?
Yes, price escalation is their risk.
So Martha, if I can expand just a little bit on the liquidated damages, I think the one thing I would clarify in that is that's for costs related to project related costs, specifically like you mentioned Blaney and the architect and the OPM and things of that nature. But it doesn't necessarily include consequential damages if, heaven forbid, if the school were not to open or something like that. And there's always the ability to go back after something like that. But we feel that we've got a reasonable schedule and we've got some ability to move in over the summer. So we've got some flexibility there as well to try and make sure that that doesn't happen with any contractor.
With the early package of the demolition right now, it does help a lot with the construction.
Anyone else want to chime in with that? I think I'm like really impressed with how thoroughly that LBA has done with these documents. I guess when we talked earlier yesterday, I was really just, it sounded amazing. It sounded like Lee, like he really talked a lot about how important it was for you guys to be so comprehensive, and I think it's going to pay off.
So if the SBC member has any question while you're looking at the drawing or the back, send it to Suzanne and then get it all together, send it to us, and the design team will address them. If something major, then we'll address them as an addendum during the meeting.
And are you done with the MSBA questions, that everything that has to be submitted by Friday?
David?
Like I said,
Yeah, if you're referring to the 90% review comments from the MSBA, Suzanne. Yeah, we basically have drafted all of our responses. I've worked with Andy on those. We just have to get it into our typical kind of formal response format, which is usually like a multi-page letter that addresses their comments point by point. And that's pretty straightforward. There was really nothing in those comments that was very unusual. And we'll be able to get that response into them this week.
And so the vote we're taking tonight isn't dependent on that being done or not, like we're just assuming.
Correct. Yep.
Does MSBA do 100% review as well? No.
The nature of some of their questions. So some of the questions related to schedule, some stuff about programming. They did point out some good stuff about the mechanical, electrical item, and the design team sent it to their sub-consultant, and then we address it as part of everything that incorporated into the 100%. So we've been doing that process with the MSBA every phase, the major deliverable. So it's pretty helpful. They want us to be successful as well, so that's why they're doing this.
We're good then? We can take a vote to,
Yeah, can we?
yeah, do we have language for the vote? Is there anything specific that, language that we need, or is it just to approve the 100% CD submission?
So if we can get approval for Hill to submit the 100% to the MSBA and move forward to the next phase, which is the bidding phase. That'll be good.
So could someone make a motion for that?
So moved.
Seconded.
Super. Super. So all those in favor of sending the 100% CD submission to the MSBA and moving on to the next phase of the project, which is building. Tanya?
Yes.
Pam?
Yes.
Day?
Yes.
Martha Seibert?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Eric?
Yes.
Christina?
Yes.
Max?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Michael McClung?
Yes.
And Peter?
Yes.
All right, then, here we go. Next phase.
Thank you.
Super. Feels,
Congratulations, everyone.
it feels exciting.
Thank you very much.
We're almost out of module 6 and into module 7.
It's crazy, right?
Construction
I
administration.
know, it's really,
We're getting there. This is the last part of module 6, bidding.
So during construction, the MSBA will come out and inspect it themselves too.
yeah, this is, everything's just moving. It's just exciting. It's exciting to see this school year open so smoothly, and it's exciting to know that in 2 years, we're gonna have another really fantastic smooth opening. So with that, any new business, or I'll open it, oh, actually, we'll do public comment first. So I see some people as guests, and if anyone wants to make some comments or ask some questions, we would love to hear from you, and just raise your hand and we can unmute you. And if there's people listening or watching in that have questions as well, I mean, just certainly keep emailing the school building committee address, and we'll get back to you. But seeing none here, right? I see none, so I think we'll just move on to new business, because we have kind of a little lull in the action as we're waiting for people to bid and demo to finish, people to bid. And the next big thing we're gonna have to do is award the GC contract. So that's the end of October. So that's tentatively our next meeting will be Tuesday, the 25th, I think it is, right? So anyone else? I mean, we'll do the same setup again. Hopefully this is going smoothly, right?
Pam is giving stellar reports from home. likes the camera, how it zooms onto who's talking.
It's actually amazing to see it zoom in and move as different people in the room are talking. It's pretty, I'm pretty pleased. Thank you, LaTanya, for all your work on this.
The sound is phenomenal.
Yeah,
It really is. Pretty good speaker. So this is a demo model. We have 2 other models to demo, which we'll do in between meetings, but this one, I just need to make sure that I can get Suzanne on camera. She was hiding. We took a good seat.
Yeah, so I guess that's it. Mike, anything else? I mean, we'll just schedule a meeting for the 25th. And hopefully, you know, between these meetings, you and Martha will communicate any financial.
Suzanne, I have one comment. Just, thank you so much to the design team. They've been incredible getting us to this point. I think one of our biggest challenges heading into the construction phase in the climate that we are in right now is going to be staying on schedule. So I don't think we can start talking about it soon enough, like how we're going to manage the supply chain issues and the delays and how we're going to avoid delays with products. And I think that's going to be a charge to Hill to anticipate that, because it's definitely a different world now than other projects that you've managed historically, because we know we've all seen that. So as much as we can get ahead of that, as much as we can kind of help and be a part of that, we want to be, and as much as we can be anticipating things and the strategies for doing that, I think is a big deal.
So on a lot of our project, for example, Mike is working on the Braintree South. As soon as the contractor is on board, we'll have a kickoff meeting and we start asking for the long lead item schedule. So we will ask them to start sending out shop drawings, submittals. So the design team will make that as a top priority and, get it released as soon as possible. That's what they're doing at South right now, and everything is pretty good. So Mike, do you have anything to say on that, Mike?
Yeah, I think the one thing with that is getting the contractor on board, making sure they have a proper schedule and that they're maintaining that schedule. And then the other part of it is we may have talked about this in the past. I know I have with individuals that over the last, say, 10 years or so, construction has been going towards lean construction, which means you don't get materials delivered until you need them, like right before you need them, basically. And we've kind of moved away from that with COVID and with lead time issues. What we're trying to do now is get the materials there as soon as you can get them there and make sure that you have them. So, even if you have to pay for a little bit of storage or things of that nature. So we're going to encourage the contractor to do that. The other thing that we're going to do is we're going to work with the design team and the contractor. If there's something that is a long lead time or it has difficulty getting, but we can get an or equal that is truly equal and not a substitution that isn't equal, we want to be open to those type of discussions as well.
Mike's, it's Peter. Storage or storage cost should never be a reason we don't get materials. So the town will make available and we'll find available space if that's what we got to do. But I just want to make sure you guys ring those bells so we're never after the fact, oh, well, we didn't get it because we didn't have a place to put it. Always present the active question to us and make us specifically say no to something. But I think we have a great team. Max has been heroic and others behind the scene have been heroic and continue to make space available for stuff.
Absolutely. That's exactly what we're going to try and do.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks for that. All right, then. Seeing no one else with any issues or, wow, this was nice and fast. You guys are awesome. All right, make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
7:10. All right, if anyone doesn't want to adjourn, give a shout out now.
I just want to know what we're going to call the opposite of lean. We're going to call it fat.
All good. All right, you guys, have a nice night. See you at the end of our.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so
Good
much,
night.
everyone.